I'm Anthony Forrest, the president of Steel Cod, and I'm here with John Beresford, our VP of Sales, ready to discuss all things appliances. This is a tough versus for me because I know we're going to come out. It's obvious we're going to come out, but I fall in that other category for all the, I guess, wrong reasons, right reasons. I don't know. I've cooked on both, but basically we're comparing gas grills versus charcoal grills. In terms of the real performance, obviously, is what's worth comparing because you're going to have your schools of thought for the reasons beyond the final product that you're cooking. So let's take it down that road. So really, which one's better?
Yeah, listen, I mean, again, we're talking about better, we're not talking about preference. So your charcoal grill that you have in your backyard right now, don't worry about it. It's still a good decision for you. But listen, both of these systems can produce excellent food. Okay, that's not a debate, right? And both of them have extremely loyal followings. I mean, we have two different opinions on this, right? On this podcast, right? And then both do exist for very good reasons. And both of them should exist, right? But they prioritize very different cooking goals. Okay. Charcoal grills prioritize fuel flavor and really, I would say probably cooking tradition above all else, whereas gas grills are prioritizing control and repeatability and just really system stability overall. Charcoal cooking is fundamentally fuel driven cooking, right? You're building a fire. I mean, that's really what's happening, right? From a combustible fuel source, and the heat behavior of that fire changes as that fuel burns, right? Gas works very differently, right? It operates off of a burner system, as we know. So instead of managing a fire, you're actually managing a controlled heat source. So while both can cook great food, they represent two completely different philosophies on how cooking should work.
And what's interesting here before we get down into the split is like a easy assumption in charcoal, which was my assumption before. So, I mean, I grew up when I was a kid, there was charcoal cooking because that's all that there was, and switched maybe about 4 years back from gas to charcoal. But they
Hmm.
assume that the flavor is going to be the biggest change. But honestly, if you do charcoal cooking properly, and we do mostly low fat meats anyways, it doesn't really taste that much different. It doesn't really taste heavy charcoal or anything like that. If that your temperatures are too low or you're cooking way too fatty things. But that's not really the big difference. It doesn't come down to flavor, does it?
Not to me, and I've always pushed back on that notion. I think that belief largely comes from cooking culture rather than actual cooking science, right? And listen, even gas grill companies bought into that whole thing because now they're starting to shove all these other things like charcoal and wood and all this kind of stuff into their systems because they're trying to get that flavor story like that's always kind of carried with this. But charcoal grilling has been associated with outdoor cooking, right? For decades, right? Ho- Even longer, right? Campfires, backyard
Right.
grills, barbecue culture, the whole thing, right? Because charcoal is literally burning fuel. And so people instinctively probably associate that with flavor. But flavor in grilling doesn't actually come from the charcoal, right? I mean, most of the flavor people associate with grilling comes from really two processes, right? First is that Maillard reaction, which we've talked about before on this show, which happens when high heat causes proteins and sugars on the surface of the food to brown and develop that caramelization that we always talk about, but then there's just this really complex flavor profile as a result. And then the second is simply fat vaporization, right? When fat from meat drips onto a hot surface or heat source, it vaporizes and rises back up around that food, creating kind of that smoky aroma and that type of thing that people associate with grill flavor. But charcoal grills and gas grills can both do those things. Okay. Both can vaporize fat and both can generate those characteristics. So the real comparison between charcoal and gas is not simply on flavor. I always thought that was a lazy argument. It's really about how heat is generated, how it's controlled, and really how it's maintained during the cooking process.
All right, so let's get down to that. So let's break that down. So heat creation, such a fun step on charcoal. But go ahead, break that down. What's the difference?
Yeah, so charcoal generates heat through, the combustion of solid food. We've talked about that a couple of times, right? So you have these charcoal briquettes or even lump charcoal. Now, it burns gradually, right? Producing radiant heat in combustion gases as the fuel breaks down. But the process isn't perfectly stable, to put it nicely, right? I mean, the heat output changes as the charcoal ignites, burns, and then eventually begins to fade away. So, managing that fire, because again, that's what you're doing, you're managing a fire, becomes part of that cooking process, which some people, including you, love, right? Because you're adjusting airflow and you're moving the fuel around, and you add additional charcoal when it's necessary. And gas grills operate fundamentally, I mean, very differently, right? I mean, so instead of burning solid fuel, they're using propane or natural gas, whatever you're doing, that are flowing through burner tubes, right? It's easy. When the burner ignites, it produces a very stable flame. The flame produces very predictable heat output, and then that heat can be adjusted instantly just by controlling the gas flow on the knobs, right? So the architecture difference is extremely clear. Charcoal creates a fire, right? And gas grills create really this controlled heat system.
So, though I thoroughly enjoy first step one, step two is not so much fun on the charcoal, and that's
Yeah.
the control side of things. Basically, because we do our Thanksgiving turkey on the charcoal grill, love how it comes out.
Yeah.
Very happy with that. I start the process an hour before the turkey even touches the grates to find that settling temperature. It takes a long time, and you're adjusting the top, you're adjusting the bottom. There's all sorts of theories on that, but you got to wait at least 20 minutes before you're going to find out where the temperature is going to sit. Meanwhile, the coal is burning, so if that takes too long, it's not going to sit there long enough. Yeah, step two in charcoal is not the most fun for a long cook. For a short cook, you just get it crazy hot and you're good to go.
Yeah. I mean, it's great to hear that process, because that's really, I mean, really what you're describing right now is that you have to create your own heat zones, right? You're doing everything manually. You
Everything.
have to pile charcoal on one side of the grill to create a hot zone, right? And then you leave the other side with less fuel for indirect cooking. And, you know, a- adjusting that setup once cooking has started can be slow, to put it, mildly. If the grill gets too hot, right, you have to adjust airflow. If it cools down, you have to add fuel. Like, those adjustments are super time confusing. And I mean, really, you have to get it right in order to influence that fire. It can be a real pain in the butt, you know. Gas grills, they offer immediate control, right? Burner knobs have precision, right? I mean, we can make whatever level of precise adjustment we want to the heat output, right? If you need more heat, turn the knob. If you need less heat, reduce it. So creating cooking zones is a hell of a lot easier on gas. And different burners can be set to different heat levels almost instantly. Think about how long that would take you on your charcoal grill to be able to create those different zones. So the difference becomes pretty clear, right? I mean, charcoal requires complete and total, what I would consider annoying, fire management, and gas grilling provides really true heat management throughout the entire process pretty easily.
Very easily. And this next step is true as well. It's just the range of cooking in that stuff. Like you said, you're manually creating these zones, and these zones don't hold forever. You're tinkering to get those zones to do what they need to do. So depending on what and how you cook, it does create its challenges.
But here's where I'll give charcoal a little bit of an edge, right? Is that they're excellent at producing intense radiant heat,
Right.
right? So that's going to make them very strong at searing steaks and just other high heat cooking tasks. Once you get that right, I mean, it can get really intense, right? That, I mean, when those charcoals really start glowing and you get that entire bed that's just has this rush of radiant energy, right? That can like crust formation and all that kind of stuff when you're cooking. It's really, really good at it. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, charcoal grills can support slow cooking or smoking, right? But doing so usually requires really careful kind of setup and airflow management. It's tough to pull off, but when you can and the elements are all right, as you laugh probably because you probably tried to do this
Oh, yeah.
many times, and probably people fail more than they succeed with this, but when you get it right, it's actually pretty cool because you can really create a great environment for low and slow cooking. Gas grills offer more of a broader temperature control range, right? They can generate high heat for searing, but then they can also maintain very stable low temperatures. And that makes indirect cooking a heck of a lot easier on a gas grill, right? You can have these longer cooking sessions that will probably, probably become a little bit more predictable,
Right.
roasting, slow grilling, like any kind of temperature sensitive food that you're going to put on the grill, those are going to be a hell of a lot easier to manage because the burners can maintain that stable output. So while both systems can cook a wide variety of foods, gas grills I think generally provide a wider and more controllable temperature range. But the high highs and the really low lows, charcoal does a really good job if you can get it right.
Yeah, for sure. Playing with that all the time. But you're playing with it and you're adjusting to it, and it's not a fixed thing. High highs are great. I mean, high highs are super easy to get. So this one's interesting is the ownership reality. Of course, we talk ownership reality on all appliances.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big difference between these two. Besides the grates, there's not a lot that they have in common.
No, you're right about that. I mean, charcoal grills require much more preparation and much more cleanup, right? I mean, look, at for starters, you have to store the fuel somewhere, right? Then you have to light the charcoal, and then you have to wait for the fire to stabilize before cooking, and that's not an easy step. That could take a while, right? And a couple of attempts too. And then after cooking, right, all the ash has to be removed, and then managing the fire again is just really part of the overall ownership experience. And there are going to be some days that you don't want to have to manage your fire to get a cheeseburger, but for a charcoal grill you always have to. So look, for a lot of people that own charcoal out there, the process can be enjoyable, right? It feels super traditional and it feels like you're in control, but it does require a lot of time and effort. Gas grills are designed for convenience, right? Turn a knob, ignition happens a lot of times with these newer ones instantly, and then the grill preheats. When the cooking's finished, turn the burner off, right? There's no ash to manage. There's very minimal cleanup required at any point during the year with these things. So the ownership experience is different, to say the least. So charcoal requires really a full commitment, but there are some advantages when you do invest the time and resources to make it work. The gas grilling is just about frequent use. Hey, I need to go grill a hot dog for my daughter. I can do it in 2 minutes. You can't do that with charcoal.
You certainly can. And I will say, if you invest just a little more money in your charcoal grill, the management's not so bad. Weber's made some really
Mm.
good moves in terms of making the
Yeah,
management
fair
not so
point.
bad. So it's not too bad, but it is way more than gas. Like it's not even close.
Yeah.
So this, you transition to this one pretty well is the cooking frequency, in terms of, how often you're cooking, the setup and prep and everything plays a role.
So you could probably answer this better than I could, but I would say ease of use really has a huge influence on cooking frequency, right? I mean, I think charcoal and, you know, correct me if I'm wrong. I think charcoal tends to end up being used more for planned cooking, right? It's almost like it's an event, right? Weekend grilling, special occasions, those types of things, or situations where somebody really has the time to manage the fire and enjoy the process. In gas grills, they can be used whenever you want, right? I mean, you can just do really quick cooking, just like I was talking about, right? Situation where somebody wants to cook out something outdoors without committing to a full charcoal setup or something like that. And like I said, you could probably answer that. Have there ever been times where you're like, oh man, I wish I could throw this on the grill, but I don't want to have to go and do all of that. So you end up using like an alternate method. Has that ever happened with you before?
I'm sure that it's had. I mean, you need 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You need 20 minutes of prep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and if we're for your 20 minutes, it takes me 5 at
Right.
most, right? And that's soup to nuts, right?
Yep.
Beginning to end, in a lot of cases. So depending upon what I'm cooking. So yeah, I would argue that when cooking becomes easier, people will tend to do it more often. I mean, we
Yeah.
talk about that indoor with appliances too. I think the same thing goes with outdoor. I mean, you're in for a commitment every time you want to use charcoal. And you are right, and it is fair to say that charcoal grilling has gotten easier over the years, and there have been some advancements there. But still, when you're comparing it to gas, it's really no contest in that
Not even
regard.
close. Nope. All right,
Yeah.
John. Hit us with the winner.
Guess where I'm going with this one, right? So listen, if we're talking about heat control, repeatability, cooking range, and usability, I gotta believe that that's the vast majority of people's out there. That's their priorities when they're looking for outdoor cooking. You know, gas, it's not even close, like with a bullet, right? We're delivering control and consistency every single time. Charcoal offers, cooking ritual and fuel tradition and those types of things, right? If you really want to be hands-on with the experience, there's some value there. And I would argue for both, honestly, because I think that there are times where playing with charcoal can be a lot of fun, and you do have just a completely different cooking experience. So I think having both in your backyard setup, and we see a lot of pellet grills that are out there now, and just different ways to cook out there. A lot of people are experiencing more and more. But I think there's room in your backyard for both of these. But if we're picking one of which one is the best, then I think it has to be gas.
Okay, so let me take you through my story a little bit. So we had a gas grill forever. We had a good gas grill.
Yeah.
And then for my birthday in 2020, Carol bought me a charcoal grill because I was talking about it and wanted to have it. We got rid of the gas grill 3 years later because I didn't touch it. We had both right next to each other. And I didn't touch the gas grill once we get to charcoal. For me, by personal reasons. One's, as soon as you smell that, all the brain memory triggers happen of everything that's happened
Yeah.
with everything that goes down that line. The process was fun. I live in Florida, so weather-wise, it's an easy thing. If I lived in Massachusetts, if it's raining or anything like that, what a pain, just everything. So living in Florida, dealing with charcoal, super easy. Don't even give it a second thought or anything like that. We don't cook a ton outside, so it's fine. But another thing that was big
Yeah.
that I think points towards for gas grills, get a good gas grill, because the whole idea of the parts rotting on it, like, people buy a cheap gas grill and it falls apart
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, what a pain. The charcoal grill, the parts are $20. So it's like no big deal. If I replace the grates
Uh,
once a year just for the sake of replacing the grates. I've had that thing it's out in the rain. It's not covered. I've never replaced anything on it and it's all been fine. So
yeah,
other than
it's a fair
tipping over in
point.
a hurricane.
There's different levels to every
Right.
conversation,
For
right?
sure.
And we can do that. But it's just, I think that it's actually really fun. I didn't know that you had both grills and you opted for this. So you just like that more kind of primitive quality
Yeah,
to
the experience was so much
cooking.
fun. You put them
That's
in the
interesting.
in the channel to for the light. The smokestack starts going. The smell starts like, all right, here we go. The neighborhood's all getting jealous. So I have all those effects as well. And then the cooking experience. We cook one fatty thing in the grill, which is salmon. So salmon does capture the charcoal smell, but all our meats are really
Yep.
not really that fatty, so it doesn't capture as much of the smell. So it's just really that side of the experience is fun. And because our gas grill kind of almost rotted, and it was a good gas grill too, but the parts
Mm.
apparently weren't that great. I was like, ugh, this isn't worth it. We had a junk guy get rid of it. It wasn't worth fixing. It was more expensive to fix than it was to buy the grill. And we stuck with charcoal since
Believe
then.
that. Oh, that's okay. Well, listen,
Yeah.
to each their own.
To each their own for sure. But every point is completely there because if I want to do something controlled, what a pain.
Yeah.
It's definitely a huge pain. I have the Weber thing with the app, so I'm watching it
Yep.
go up and down. I'm trying to keep it within a range. I'm like, oh man, so I go up. You open it a 16th of an inch, wait 20 minutes, see if it did anything. You go too far, you swings the other way. Oh yeah, it made that first Thanksgiving we did it. What a pain for over 3 hours getting this done. So yeah, for sure, but it was still fun, and it made that an experience, a part of that
Yeah.
experience, versus just set it and forget it.
No, I get it. I mean, if you want to be that hands-on with cooking, for me, I'm just trying to feed 4 people as fast as I possibly can. So it's
Yeah,
different
for
walks
sure.
of life, I guess.
For sure. So cool. All right. So I mean, I think we spelled this out well, and I'm with you. Gas is definitely the winner in terms of the cooking
Yeah.
experience, for sure. For the overall experience, if you want to make some fire, it's pretty fun doing charcoal.
Yeah. No, I believe you.
All right, works for me. Thanks, John. We drop a new episode every day of the week, including weekends. Don't forget to rate and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.